Hello. This video will be a quick introduction and tutorial to getting started with string manipulation and regular expressions in Excel. So in plain English, that essentially means that if you've ever had to work with text data and you're interested in automating a good portion of that work through VBA code, then this is the video for you. First, I'm going to be giving you a really gentle introduction to regular expressions. I'll also be showing you how to use regex in Excel. I'm going to call it regex from now on. And I'm going to give you some short examples just to get your feet wet with it. So regular expressions, what are they exactly? It's a tool to find patterns in text. So it's used also to make large sweeping changes in searches. And so if all of this are just words to you, you just hear me saying a lot of words, but you don't really know what I'm saying, I'll try to explain it a little further as we move along. So this website in and of itself, it's a great place to practice regular expressions. You can just drop the text that you're trying to work with in there, and you can write your own little regex, and it'll kind of show you the results and break everything down for you really nicely. So in Excel, to use regular expressions in Visual Basic for applications, it's actually not enabled by default. So you have to actually enable the library that contains the regular expressions, regex. So this right here is the syntax for the code that you're going to need in order to initialize the regular expressions library that you just enabled within the references. Real quick now, we're going to go into the Visual Basic editor and also kind of walk you through the step-by-step example as well. I'm getting set up just to show you guys how to enable the library and all that jazz. So one of the most important things you have to do when you're working with Visual Basic for applications is to save the file, your Excel file, as an Excel SM. So this is versus the default, which is XLSX. XLSM enables the macros, and if you save it as an XLSX, you will not be able to save your macro data. So it's important that you do this right off the bat so you don't forget. Okay, so we have our macro now opened, and in order to open up VBA, you're going to go over to the View tab and hit macros, view macros, and you see over here that I don't have anything defined yet, so that's normal. Well, let's just type in something like test, and when I type that and hit enter, it's going to pop open this whole area over here. So over here under tools, you're going to go to references, and we're going to go to the Microsoft, where is it? Right there, Microsoft VB script regular expressions 5.5. So you want to have that checked. Yeah, I know there's a lot of libraries. You don't have to worry about that. You select them on an as needed basis and you hit OK. So one thing to keep in mind is that when you enable this particular library, it is enabled respective to only this workbook. So if you created another macro Excel file, it's not going to be included by default. So you'd have to repeat this process of going to tools and references and re-enabling the regular expressions library if you plan to use regular expressions. So one way that you know that it's been enabled is if I create a variable, which is dim re, I'm going to define it as a regex. Yep. So you see how the autocomplete allowed me to do that. If it wasn't enabled, then nothing would have popped up there. I wouldn't have gotten this as an option. Okay, so let's close this out with an actual example over here. So here I just grabbed a couple of addresses off the internet for some free data, and we can see that these are all strings. And let's say, for example, that I want to pull the zip codes out of these addresses over here and place them on this column. You go over to View in order to pull up the VBA window, macros, View macros, and you could just type in whatever name you want for your subroutine here and hit the create button. Will get unstippled out. In this case, I already created my macros, so I'm gonna just go ahead and open it, and let's bring it up over here. So let me explain the code really quick before we run this. So in this case, I created a regular expression object called RE, and you can name this whatever you want. Like you can name this hello for all you care, or one letter like Z, but in this case, RE is just a nice variable that I like to use because it's familiar. And over here, RE.pattern, I'm specifying the pattern that I'm searching for. So to explain really quickly, the parentheses signify a group. So open and close parentheses is each one group. So we see over here we have one group, two groups, three groups, four groups, and five groups. And that means that, you know, I'm going to try, I broke up the string that I'm matching into five separate areas that I can extract separately if I so choose. Now, the first group, it's looking for these square brackets indicate that anything within this range is a valid match. So for example, I'm looking for the numbers 0 through 9, which would indicate the street address. And the star indicates one or more, 0 or more of this particular, the preceding pattern, which in this case is numbers. So any number of any number of numbers could match up. And then we have it followed by a space here because, you know, we generally have, if we go back to the data, we can see that the number follows by a space, and we don't want the space itself to be captured in our group as part of the results, so we're just going to keep it outside of the group. So you see over here I put the comma and the space to indicate that that is the end of the address, and I don't want the comma and the space to be part of the result either, so it's external to the pattern matching. And it's a little bit more the same here. This would be the number, street, city, state, and zip code. So the zip code is the fifth group, and that pretty much explains the pattern, hopefully. That should make it pretty clear. So when I run this, this should get populated with the zip code, and, you know, we're just expecting the match to show true. So I clicked it and it worked. Awesome. But let's say, for example, you know, I want to be a little more flexible. I just want the street that it's on. I could just go into my code over here and change the 5 to the 2 because the street address is group number, the street name is group number 2. And let's just go back to the Excel sheet and we'll run it again. And there you go, East Janet Drive. But what if, you know, I want both the number to be included as well? We can go back over here and I can put the number, and you have to include the space because the space isn't part of the captured group. And if we go back and run it again, there it is. So in review, here's a couple of regular expression fundamentals that we want to go over. So this is a place where you could find the cheat sheet, which is a really good site. Besides just the cheat sheet, there's a ton of information there for a lot of different things that you can do that I did not cover in this video because regular expressions, it's a very, very deep topic. But I just tried to cover the bare essentials on what most people would want to know in order to get started. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Hopefully that was a pretty clear explanation of what regular expressions are and how to use them in Excel. If you have any questions or comments, then please leave a comment in the video description, in the video, and I will definitely try to answer any questions that you have. In the meantime, if you found this helpful at all, then please feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. It definitely helps out my metrics a lot, so I would really appreciate it. Until then, see you next time. Have a good day.